Alexis, I think yours is mintable.
Oh.
I will bid on it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is your girl, NFTGirl, and welcome to the first episode of The Joy of NFTs. Yay! The purpose of the show is to open up the conversation between artists, collectors, and members of the NFT and Web3 community, also to provide a glimpse into the creative process of each artist and give back to the community. How this is going to work is that I'm going to ask a question on Twitter before each episode, asking you to propose a theme. One comment will be selected, and the artist will have 10 minutes to sketch out a piece based on this work. After each episode, the artist will have some time to refine their pieces, and the person who proposed the theme of the episode will receive a portion of the sale of the NFT. For this episode, I was joined by some incredible artists and members of the NFT and Web3 community. The first artist was Aeforia. He is a digital artist based in Montreal, and his work is all about color, balance, and emotion. You can find his work on Super Rare Foundation and Nifty Gateway. The second artist for this episode was DeeKayMotion. He is an animator from South Korea who now lives in the Bay Area, and his work can be best described as fun, cute, and joyful. You can find him on Super Rare, Foundation, and OpenSea. On this episode, I was also joined by Roger Dickerman. He's a collector and strategist. And also Seneca33. He's a writer of all things NFTs and founder of the Sen Academy. And last but not least, I also had DC Collier. He's a crypto creator who's interested in bots and generative arts. The person selected to provide the inspiration for this week's episode is none other than @ForceArt. So please keep your DMs open on Twitter for more updates. And now I will leave you to enjoy the first episode of The Joy of NFTs. Today we have DeeKayMotion, and also we have Aeforia, aka Alexis. Also amazing. I've had the pleasure and just being blessed to being able to have a piece from each of you. And I've just seen you guys grow so much since then that I was so excited to have you both on the first episode for the show. And luckily enough, when I asked Aeforia about, who you want to invite as a collector, he was like, oh, Roger. And I'm like, oh, I know Roger. We had empanadas in Miami like 3 months ago, and that was like amazing. So I was super happy to have you, Roger, on the show today. So thank you so much for coming. I would love to have also your take as a collector, and kind of like what draw you to Aeforia's work. So I think that we can start there, and I would love to hear like from your perspective, what captures your attention when you're looking for NFTs, and what specifically draw you to Aeforia's work.
Thanks for having me. This is fun. And yes, those fond memories of empanadas in Miami.
I know.
So when looking for art for me, I have to admit it's a number of things. It starts with the art itself. It extends to the artist, him or her, themselves. Mm-hmm. And then it goes to the context, the ties that bind them together, and then the vision and where it's all going. So I remember finding Aeforia first on Nifty Gateway, and it was facade, and it captured me, and I wasn't ready to dive into the world of Aeforia yet. However, I had a strong hunch that I would eventually soon, and it ended up not being that particular drop. Although, Lexi, we've talked, and that was a bit of a torturous experience for me after the fact, as I saw your market, rise. Maybe you can speak to that.
Essentially, what happened is that Roger kind of messaged me one time because I released this series like back in November of 2020, so it's been almost a year already. So it's like a long time ago in NFT time, And back then it was like just a regular drop. I think the pieces were going for, like, there was an open for $99 as an example, and like it happened and it was amazing, and like people bought it afterwards on secondary market, but it was nothing like crazy. And then at some point, NFTs started buzzing a little more, and people started like diving back into that collection. This is where we saw like a surge in interest in those pieces that were like kind of like collecting dust or being slept on. And so Roger saw that, and then when he saw that, like there was such a sudden surge, and it was kind of crazy to watch unfold, you know. So yeah, that was quite a weird story, because like I personally didn't know that it would like gain so much interest afterwards. Like it was a few months after, so I guess like what was said earlier, like it's all about patience, you know, and let time do its thing.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good lesson, and maybe Zeneca, maybe you feel this way now that you've garnered so much deserved attention and, you know, the project space. But back at that time, Alexi, when I was kicking it around and I was thinking, and I had a bad habit. What I realized was a mistake for a period of time where enough people were paying attention to what I was doing in art, where when I would make a global offer, it would change things, and you would see people jump in. And so I remember that was squarely at the time that I realized that I was making an egregious mistake. And there were these 2 editions of yours that I wanted, made the global offer. Them and 5, like 4 or 5 others were scooped up, and then immediately it was like 3, 4, 5, 6x what it was sitting at. When it was undeservedly for a brief moment gathering dust. But of course, that's far ancient history.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. And I would love to give a chance for both of the artists to kind of talk about what they have going on right now. I know that you guys have both had incredible journeys so far. I know, DK, you recently had a huge sale. Congratulations for that again, with the Cosimo collector. About he acquired your Destiny piece, and what you have going on that we should pay attention to.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and it's very nice to meet you all. And so when I first minted my Destiny, I wasn't expecting that high number, and everything was actually a pretty surprise. And at the time, my all-time high was like 36, and I was expecting maybe a little higher than 30 or around there. But so I minted it, and then Cosimo messaged me. He said he's interested in, but then he didn't say it was gonna be like that committed. So I wasn't really like aware that he was that into it. And then that was about it. And the auction started, and just out of nowhere, a Keyboard Monkey jumped in. Now he actually messaged me too, but so like a couple messaged me, but I wasn't expecting that high number. And then they all started to having a bidding war. And then another guy named Zero Salt, his real name is Paul, and Paul and Keyboard Monkey and the Cosimo, they all started having a bidding war, and then just went up and went up. Like while that was happening, I was talking to Cosimo and all the other artists as well. And then at the time, I had no idea why are they bidding so high. Like I mean, I'm okay, but I'm not that big, So,
well, you are now.
I was a little confused. Yeah, well.
But I feel like everybody starts somewhere, and I think that just the fact that you watched it like go from 36 to witness with you, and I think every artist has that moment, but I think the beauty with NFTs is that we all get to see it and track it and watch like the bidding wars, because nobody, that wouldn't happen in the regular art space. So I think it was so cool that, you got to experience that, but we also got to watch it with you.
Oh, thank you. And at the time, I didn't really, I announced it on Twitter, but I didn't tell my real life friends. And while the bidding war was happening, I guess all my friends, like one by one, they started paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the words like travel around, and then they all starting to texting me, calling me, like, DK, what's happening? It's like, I don't know, dude.
That's
yeah,
so
and
funny.
then the miracle happened.
And that piece in particular, it's obviously about two lovers, meeting each other and being at the right time and at the right place. And I know that you had your wedding not too long ago. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And I wonder if, do you typically base your pieces upon what's happening, in your life at the moment?
Not necessary, but then there are times that when I have certain experience that I want to express in through my animation, then I do so. Mm-hmm. But my philosophy in art is that I want to make art that is very easy to get into. Meaning, I don't want to put too heavy meaning into it. I want a little, even the 5 years old see it and look at it as, oh, this is fun, something like that. So, I mean, there are times that I would put some deep meaning to it, but then most of the time it's just very light. You look at it and then you understand. And also, it's more of what viewers think rather than what I put into. So I like to hear what people think when they look at my art and such.
Yeah, very cute. Very makes you feel good. So that's what I feel every time that I look at your pieces. And Aeforia, I also want to ask you, because you have a deep focus on humans and a lot of faces and bodies, and I wanted to know why did you decide to focus on the human body?
Well, first off, big fan of your work, DK, and congrats on that sale. That's awesome. As for my work, I think it kind of stems from this idea of these characters have been a thing for me for a very long time. I think I started doing these back in 2016, 17. So it's been a couple of years, and I don't know, there's no big reason behind it, because it's something that I kind of stumble upon accidentally by playing with software, and somehow I think what appealed me the most was the idea that I could make a piece where the star of the show could be just the body language of a figure that is kind of surreal and not necessarily human in itself. And somehow people can relate to it, and that is crazy to me. And so this idea of just going into my work and pose these characters and give them some personality and then adding some sound to the whole thing, to me it's just this idea of transferring to the audience some sort of emotion or ambience or mood, and all gravitates around this character and the way it presents itself. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but to me it's just what I love doing. I just love going in deep and just placing each finger, to make sure that it expresses something. So yeah, that's what I like to do, honestly, and that's why I've been doing it forever.
And also, I feel you're talking about feeling and this vibe about your pieces. Your pieces have a particular Aeforia vibe, and it's typically involves some purples and some blues. So I also want to know how do those colors make you feel, and why utilize them in almost every one of your pieces. I feel I see the purples and the blues. So I want to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, so I had I in the past few years I kind of tried to explore more colors than just these colors, but of course they are kind of coming back every now and then, and people tend to assign those colors to my work, which I find quite fantastic. And that kind of came because of it's so cheesy, because I'm a guy who likes sunsets, and I just love just sitting and watching the clouds. It's so cheesy, but I love it. And And so like the colors you would see on a like sunset sky to me are like so inspiring. Mm-hmm. And I remember that was initially the inspiration for me, just like restricting myself to those colors. That was like years ago. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, in a scientific way, just decided to keep a constant in my work and see how I could like go around that same constant every time. And it was the color palette. And eventually kind of became some sort of trademark. But of course, over the years, I kind of tried to just diversify myself a little more. So nowadays, I won't limit myself to those colors, and I'll pick some very specific palettes depending on what mood I want to convey. As an example, and that also concerns DK, tomorrow there's a drop on Nifty Gateway featuring crypto cubes and creators. And for that piece, I went a totally different route. It's one of my darker pieces with like very menacing red and dark blacks and stuff like that. It's not something typical Aeforia, but what I wanted to convey was some sort of like menacing figure and kind of creepy and all that. And so using the purple and the blue and the pink probably would not have been like the best choice. So, that's a good example of what like colors can do and how nowadays I just do whatever I want. And yeah, so DK also has a piece tomorrow that's going to be featured. So that's why I brought that up.
Yes, you both have a collab with Cubes Crypto tomorrow.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. This is a space for the community to basically share whatever they have going on and what they wish to join in the future. So today we have David Collier, and he goes by DC, and he is a developer, and he's been in the crypto space for 6 months. And David, I would love to hear from you, kind of your background, what you're looking for, and what excites you the most about the NFT space.
I'm working at Google as a kind of day job right now doing AI stuff, but I'm looking to move into crypto full time. And then I've been doing a few kind of generative art projects. I did one on talking blocks with a friend of mine called Remo, which is a collab with another artist, and these are all kind of algorithmic art, but they actually listen to you. So that's why it's talking blocks. We actually use the mic as an input, as a kind of source of entropy to mutate the immutable, as it were. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. I'm really new to the space, so I'm kind of looking for collaborators on new projects. And I guess some of the themes are, generative, on-chain, multiplayer, kind of gameplay, and also stuff that could interact with the Discord if possible. So I'm really open to other people's ideas. I can kind of do the full stack, the technical stuff, as well as the, some of the ideation. Looking for people who have like a community that would like to get involved in something. I'd love to do some kind of, so like one of the ideas was NF tree, being kind of fractal-based trees, because they're something that you can do purely from code. I don't think it's smart to put tons of SVG into a contract, but I think it's smart to do a very, very tight loop of code that generates the images. And we could have an orchard of different trees where different owners can kind of talk to each other and hang out. So that's one idea.
And also, I think you're like super into like gamifying and on-chain contracts and applying the gamified version or the portion to it. What made you focus? What made you have that focus on like the gaming portion for projects?
Because I think games are like a two-way medium. I think a lot of NFTs is like an artist kind of broadcasting what they want, whereas games allow people. It removes the barrier of like viewer and kind of creator. It's more like an interactive two-way dialogue with people who are working on stuff. And so that's the fun thing about games. It's just really fun when an NFT responds to you. So games are really fun, interactive canvas. And now the chain is there. It's like a whole new palette of possibilities for game designers and interactive designers to think about. Yeah, so just open to lots of ideas and new stuff, and hit me up, I guess.
For sure. How can they find you on Twitter? I think that's like
Twitter,
the main way.
Just DCSAN.
Okay.
DCSAN.
DCSAN on Twitter.
DC. SAN, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or dc@rick.ai, if
Perfect.
anyone wants to remember the email.
Yeah, I think right now it's like everybody's having their own projects, and like any technical background is very sought after. So I'm sure that, you know, there's going to be a team out there that's going to, you know, benefit from your skills. So thank you for reaching out and for participating on the show. And
you bet.
thank you so much for being part of the community. I really appreciate you jumping on.
Look forward to the next thing then. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, David. See you later. So now we are going to go into the analyst portion. So we have Seneca33 here, and everybody, if you don't know him, you're living under a rock. He's like the master of all analytics and following all the NFT trends. So, without further ado, go ahead, Roy. I would love to hear what you have to say about the NFT market right now.
Hello, thanks for having me on. So, yeah, I track. I wouldn't say I'm a master of analytics. There's people out there way more smart than me and use far more sophisticated tools. Basically, what I do is every day I have a spreadsheet that tracks the floor price of, now it's maybe 200 popular NFT collections. And I just update that. Now it's automated. And then I sort of tweet it out and write some analysis on what's going on in the market. Mm-hmm. Because I do that every day, have been doing that every day for several months now, I get a pretty good feel for what's going on out there. And so I guess in terms of a macro view, the last 2 months have been fairly bearish, or maybe like 6 to 7 weeks. We had kind of the market sort of exploded towards the end of August, first week of September, and we almost had like a blow off top. I wouldn't quite call it that, but there was just a ton of hype and attention and money flowing in, a lot of transactions taking place, and then prices came crashing down, early mid-September, and since then it's sort of been, I would say, relatively bearish. We've definitely had weeks here and there where prices start going up and individual collections that have really pumped and done really, really well. But a lot of projects haven't sort of recovered or hit the same peaks that they had towards the end of August. So I wouldn't say that we've necessarily recovered from that bearishness. Mm-hmm. Specifically, I'd say most of September was quite bearish, and then early October we had a few good weeks, but then towards the end, so we're recording this 28th of October, the last couple of weeks have again been quite bearish. And I mean, a lot of this I think is due to ETH prices soaring. ETH has hit all-time highs. It's 4,200, or now it's back below 4,000, but it hit 42, 4,300, and with that, people just naturally maybe took some profits. They wanted to hold ETH instead of NFTs. It became more expensive for new people to enter the space. So just US dollars, for example, turning into NFTs, turning into ETH to buy NFTs wouldn't get you as far. And with ETH rising and like a lot of activity happening on the Ethereum network, gas prices go up. And so when that happens, people are just generally less ready to buy NFTs. People, like, if it's going to cost you 0.03 or 0.05 in gas for a minting transaction or even an OpenSea purchase transaction, it doesn't really make sense. Or a lot of people are hesitant to buy especially the cheaper NFTs. Anything below 0.1, it turns a lot of people off. And then if you don't see a little bit of activity, people see that and then be like scared that no one's buying and undercut the floor. And because of the illiquid nature of NFTs, it's really quickly for prices to sort of crash. And often when gas, calms down, then prices can, really quickly run back up. But I think that's sort of been the state of the market for the last couple of months. And we haven't, I think it's hard to predict the future. Obviously, no one can tell what's going to happen. If I had to try and like gun to my head what I think is going to happen, I think we're probably going to continue in this sort of bearishness phase for a little while longer, until ETH decides what it's going to do. Like, if ETH just keeps ripping and we get 5K, 10K ETH, I just don't see NFTs in ETH taking off. It just seems difficult. We've seen it before where ETH has gone up and NFTs have gone up, but it just doesn't feel like that's going to happen this time. If we get ETH just sort of going sideways for a month or two, then I think people will get more comfortable and just used to 4K ETH. Like for the longest time, for a few months, like a 2K ETH was sort of standard and regular. Everyone got used to those prices and doing the USD conversion. We haven't really had that happen at 4-ish K. So I think if we go sideways or if ETH plummets again, then we'll probably see a bull market again and prices start to soar. But until that happens, I think we're probably just a bit in limbo. Like a lot of people are like unsure of if they want to, pump a bunch of money into NFTs right now. Regular crypto is taking a lot of the attention. Dog coins are all the rage. Shiba is like, I think it flipped Doge. I haven't really been following closely, but crazy stuff's happening out there, and NFTs aren't necessarily in the spotlight right now. But very macro term, long term, I'm extraordinarily bullish, and I think that if you believe in the tech and have conviction in the space, then and you have a multi-year, multi-decade view, then it doesn't really matter in these short-term fluctuations if you can afford to sort of hold.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about in the last couple of weeks? Have you seen any like projects that really capture your attention? And what are like the indicators that you typically follow for me just seeing where projects are at and maybe having your own take in their future? Obviously, hashtag not financial advice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to hear on a little bit of the last couple of weeks. What do you think is going on?
So for the longest time, what I felt was one of the most important metrics or indicators for sort of like predicting the success of a project was like the ownership distribution. So the percentage of unique owners, effectively the size of the community. And I don't think that's as strong of a metric anymore, just because projects themselves have identified that people look at this and they figure out ways to manipulate the ownership distribution by saying, hey, we're going to airdrop a companion, but instead of to every NFT, it'll be to every wallet that holds an NFT. So then people split it up across multiple wallets. But we've also seen projects launching now saying, hey, there's a limit of 1 per wallet, 2 per wallet, 3 per wallet that you can mint. And so you get tons of wallets minting, but it's just, whales saying, hey, I'm just going to set up 10 wallets and mint. And so it's not a true ownership distribution. So I did look at that a lot. I don't anymore. So that's, it is difficult to find like a specific metric or thing to look at anymore. And that's, I guess, what makes it tough. And it's very hard to know what projects are going to take off and what are not. I think I try to look for things that aren't necessarily numbers, that beyond the stats. Like I'm a big fan of saying, look at the people, look at the team behind the project, and who's creating this, who's launching what's their vision, what's the roadmap, what's the community like, and all those kind of things. And that stuff takes time, takes research. You can't just look at daily charts and stats and say, hey, that one looks good, that one looks good, and it's going to take off. It really does take time being in the Discords, chatting into the team, and knowing what's going to take off. And like if I had to pick a couple, let me just pull up my stats. I won't share my screen because I've done this before and the text is so small that no one can really see it. But I'm just looking at it today. There's a lot of red out there, but if projects have been doing poorly, but they're legit projects, often those are the best buying opportunities. And so like people get scared if prices have been tanking, but I say that like if the project is legit, it's just basically on discount. It's like regular stocks in the share market and value investing, that kind of approach. Things like Punk's Comics, for example, they have been taking a bit of a battering the last few weeks, and people have their own opinions on whether or not it was overpriced to begin with and whether it's all artificially inflated. But if you believed in it, a couple of months ago at higher prices and it's tanking now, nothing has fundamentally changed about the project. They're still building what they say they're going to build. The team is still there, so that might be one to look at. Nifty League Degens, that's one that I've been a big fan of. It's effectively a 10,000 edition profile picture, quote unquote, project, but they use the avatars to build a game. They've actually built a game. So like a lot of projects launch and say, hey, roadmap Q1 2022, Q4 2022, we're going to launch a game. They launched basically with a playable game. And I think that's just a huge boon and a credit to their point. And that's something that I would look at. They have like a multiplayer version coming out. It's in alpha at the moment with a few people can play it, but it looks good. They have like real firepower behind the team. I think one of the devs comes from, he worked at Activision for basically a long time up until this project launched. And yeah, I mean, I could rattle off dozens of projects and talk about them, but let's just leave it at those two as ones that I would look at.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Look at the people. And that's such a hard question to answer because then, like, I totally agree with you on the standpoint of, like, do your due diligence. Like, you can't just hear, like, keywords here and there and just go on Twitter and see what's hot. You need to actually, like, go in there and do your research. So
I'll also add one more thing, and that's so sort of a lot of people have been asking me, for advice lately in the NFT space, and my number one piece of advice is just be patient. Like, it's so easy to just get into NFTs and be, hey, this is cool, exciting, literally people making money and just want to jump in and buy whatever's minting that week, whatever's hot, whatever's etc. And I think that take a step back and realize what's happening and the grand scheme of things and where NFTs are going to fit in the world in like a multi 5-10 year view, and realize that you're not going to miss anything by not jumping in today or tomorrow. You can take a week or two, a month or two, research, take your time, understand the space, and then make smarter investments. And I don't think you'll be late or you'll miss anything, which I think is a fear a lot of people have.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's a great way to end the analytics segment. And thank you for those thoughts. I think they're really valuable. As you can kind of see on this side of the wall, you can see an image that's been sitting there for a while on purpose. So the theme for today's show was proposed by a community member of that follows NFTGirl. There you go.
Yep.
There you go. And I tried my best to do my own drawing. So that took me less than 10 minutes, okay? So I think that you guys will be good to go. So I'm going to start a timer of 10 minutes. I already see both of you like sweating. And you guys, do your thing. It doesn't have to be the clamshell, like exactly, but it's just something that inspires you just by seeing that image. So here we go. Okay. The time starts now. Okay, so now you can start drawing.
Disclaimer, this is why I'm a 3D artist and not like an illustrator. So you guys will see how I sketch. Yeah, let's do this.
Aeforia, get busy, man. Timer's on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's try to sketch that.
You guys are able to see my screen as well, right?
Yeah.
I can
flip between the two.
I can only see. I can only see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see your screen, DK. I can see both.
Just be sure. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, I see. I can flip between them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun.
I know, right?
Les, can I comment on the artists real quick as they start?
Yes, please do.
I want to say that DeeKay, quiet fan over here of your work. It's just absolutely exceptional to see your rise. And the what I wanted to say about each of you is that your artworks across the span of them give me these distinct emotions. DeeKay, when I look at your artworks, I get joy, just pure joy. And I love to hear you say that you shoot to have that artwork. If a 5-year-old looked at it, that really does come through. That even when there's a statement being made, it immediately gives me joy. It just makes me smile, and I absolutely love that. And then going over to Aeforia, you say color balance and emotion a lot. And the word that I would add to that, the emotion, that you're making a deep statement about fear, about change, about anything serious. It still puts me in this state of calm to then think about those things and consider those things at a deeper level. So very, very quickly, just wanted to say I love that about each of your art.
Means a lot, man.
Love that commentary, Roger.
It means a lot.
Could not agree more with you. Please do more commenting. Let's keep it going because we need to distract them.
I got a fun story about DK and your art. So my fiance Rachel, she is getting into NFT. She's not like anywhere near obviously where I am, but like 2-3 months ago, she was like, "Hey, Roy is all about this. I should check it out and see what's up." And so, I sent a little bit of ETH to her wallet. She was playing around at OpenSea, buying some things, and then she came across the Let's Walk. and was like, hey, these are really, really cool, and send them to me. And I hadn't seen your work before. And I was like, hey, they are really cool. Oh, but half an ETH, 1 ETH for Link. I don't know. I didn't do the research. And then I was like, yeah, maybe we'll revisit them a little later. Let's dig into it. And now I think, I don't know, Link is 5, 6 ETH, 10 ETH maybe. And yeah, I haven't collected any yet, but I'm definitely planning to at some point for sure.
Zeneca, I had the same story. I saw that walk and I thought it was so... The word joy, I was looking at that.
Yes, exactly. They're really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at each character and I'm just sitting there and I just didn't do it. And now we know the rest. That's a good story.
Yeah.
I love hearing those stories, though.
I haven't told Rachel, my fiance, yet that, you know, what has become of these things that she really, really liked. But I'm sure I'll tell her and I'll get a lot of I told you so's.
Tell her that if she thought that 0.5 ETH was expensive,
she has a good eye.
That she should have seen the latest one.
Yeah.
So I see both of you at the same time, and I see even now like the differences. Like I feel, DK, do you typically start like what you're doing now of like doing vectors and lines and then kind of modeling? So I learned this term recently, like modeling versus sculpting. So is this considered modeling on your Photoshop, or what is this called?
I think that term applies to 3D people more.
Okay.
And mine is just like designing and sketching. But for me, it really depends what I'm making. Because if it's something huge, like my Destiny piece, then it would require a lot of thinking and then like a lot of planning.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm doing a simple shell or clay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just getting right into a designing instead of a sketching.
Okay.
And also, I'm planning to do the animation right away. So because of that, I'm designing within the After Effects, which is the animation program. And if I were to just strictly design, then I would just do it in Illustrator. But then the tool that I'm using is pretty similar. So that's that.
Very cool. And I see you, Alexis, doing something completely different. And and how would you describe? Is this how you typically start your pieces, like doing the sketching on the computer, or how do you typically go about it?
Yeah, so I guess it really depends on like what I'm doing. If it's just a piece for fun and like out of like more of like of an experiment, I don't necessarily do a sketch. But when it's like something more serious, like a series or like my Crypto Cubes piece, I would literally just draw, like, even if it looks weird, on paper, so I can forget about a software for a minute and don't get too caught up into it. Because most of the time, you get too worried by the technicalities and not about just the essence of the image. So if I can get a good-looking image with a somewhat not too good sketch like this one, well, it means that the final result's probably way out of my comfort zone doing that in 10 minutes, but yeah, this is how I do it. And then I kind of like bring that into the 3 software, and yeah, this is how I work.
If it makes you any better, I'm feeling the exact same right now. It's out of my comfort zone.
Well, I'm glad we're 2.
Well, I think both of y'all's look way better than mine already, so you guys are doing a great job so far.
But yours is a physical, so it has a uniqueness to it.
I know.
True.
Yeah.
How much time is left?
So you guys have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Wait, 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
K1's a time extension.
3 minutes.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I thought it was 45 minutes.
What? Maybe the whole show.
Oh, okay. I got mixed up.
The juxtaposition between these artworks is amazing. It's just, they're so different.
I can imagine.
I feel the same way.
Oh, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Are you about to animate your shell, DK?
I was
Already?
thinking, but then I didn't know it was 3 minutes. So
Oh my gosh.
how much do I have now?
1
Like 1
minute
minute?
and 50 seconds.
Oh my god. Okay.
Roger, do you think you can do? Do you think you can do a better one than mine?
No, I would finish fourth.
I would finish last.
Oh.
Alright, so maybe one last color. I don't know, like some.
You guys are doing great. You don't think so, but you are actually. This is
It's
pretty impressive.
expressionism that I'm doing, I guess. Like, it's very organic, like blurry shapes. Like it's really my style in 3D is exactly like that, actually.
Oh yeah, it looks awesome.
The colors. I like the colors.
These are the Aeforia colors. All right, and then we'll do a quick fill before the timer runs out.
So you guys have 50 seconds.
Oh god.
I think that's like the loudest I've heard DK ever.
Oh,
I can
no.
understand why, though. This is stressful.
It's
All right.
stressful.
Okay. So Roger,
Okay. And I can animate.
what do you think? What do you think? Which one are you leaning towards?
Is it? I feel like we have to do the. Well, you decide. But whenever it's all digital tools down, we get the
I know. We got
Oh boy.
5 seconds. 5, 3,
I'm
2,
done. I'm just
1. Done. That's it. All right. Pencils down. No hands on the computer. Okay. DK, show me your hands. Okay, good.
People really need to see this.
Yeah, you see how, we were having a good time, so it's going to be very entertaining. Okay, hold on. Now, can you both cheat, but with your signature purple human, showing a lot of emotion? I freaking love it.
Ignore the colors, though, okay?
No, it looks great. And then we have this signature 2D caricature of a clamshell by DK that probably is worth at least 20 ETH at this point. So
Oh,
Damn. That's a profitable 10 minutes right there.
I
that
know.
is it.
Perfect. So, okay, what do you guys think about each other's work? I want to see, like, if it was what you were imagining.
This yours move already, DK?
No, I wanted to. I wanted to make it move, but I did start creating keyframes, but then I just didn't have enough to create the second keyframes where it does the key tween animation. But yeah, I just stopped.
DK, how many more minutes? How many more minutes would it have taken to get to that?
To closing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to do it like really quick, I would probably need like 5 more minutes, maybe.
Okay, so that's not that bad.
Yeah, but Alexis, I think yours is mintable.
Oh.
I will bid on it.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I would love to see yours animated. Right now, I mean, it's definitely your style. And if you were to do a clamshell, that would be it, But like to me, like the magic also comes with like how your pieces kind of like surprise us in the elements that change and the vibrant colors and all the funny motion that you add to these. So honestly, I would give DK like another 5 minutes so we could like animate this. But so far, I mean, it's a good-looking clamshell.
It does.
Clamshell,
It does. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining. I love both of you as artists, and I love the community. Thank you, Roy and Roger, for joining and being part of it. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Bye.
Bye,
That was
guys.
fun.